Hola clase y bienvenidos. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre por y para. Now, both the prepositions por and para mean for, okay, but they each have their set of rules and they're different in how you use them. Okay, we're first going to talk about para. Okay, again, para means for, and the best way to think of para is kind of an arrow. Okay, that when you're saying for, like I have a gift for you, this gift is leaving me and going to you. Okay, much like an arrow would do. All right, on your note guide, you've got para on the left-hand side and por on the right. With para, you see here 5 reasons or rules of when para is used, and then some practice questions under each. I want you to translate these practice questions based on what you see here in our notes. Okay, so rule number 1, you're always going to use para when you are talking about the destination of someone or something. Okay, so he is leaving for school right now. That would be his destination. Let's look at our example sentences you see on your note guide. This soap is for the bathroom. Okay, that's its destination. That's where it's going. That's why I bought it. So to translate this, you would say, Este jabón es para el baño. Okay, another example sentence. We leave for school at 7 o'clock. That's our destination. So, to say that in Spanish, salimos para la escuela a las 7. Okay, usage number 2 for para is going to be purpose, or why the item even exists. Okay, so if you had a Spanish book, this book is for learning Spanish. That would be its purpose, and a great example of when to use para. Okay, here's some of your example sentences. A pen is for writing. To say that in Spanish, un bolígrafo es para escribir. Another example. These shoes are for running. Estos zapatos son para correr. A little side note to consider, you don't need to write this down, I just want to remind you that verbs, when they follow a preposition, like por, para, or de, which these are just common prepositions, you must leave the verb in the infinitive form. Even if it sounds like a pen is for writing. Gosh, that's ing. I know that's ando y endo in Spanish. No, okay? You cannot use escribiendo here because of the preposition. Okay, you have to leave it in the infinitive. Just a side note, I wanted to give you a quick reminder. Okay, let's look at usage number 3. Deadline. Okay, so anytime you're trying to say, ooh, I have to turn this paper in by Friday. Okay, that by Friday, this paper is for Friday. That's a deadline. That's a timeline you're working with. You're going to need para. Practice sentences on your note guides to translate. Number 1, I need the shoes by Friday or for Friday. To say that, necesito los zapatos para viernes. Notice I did not capitalize viernes. You do not capitalize days of the week in Spanish. Another example sentence, I have to do this homework for Monday. Tengo que hacer esta tarea para lunes. Okay, next up, usage number 4. Standard. Anytime you're comparing someone or something to what is considered the norm, okay, like for such a young child, he is very intelligent, that is para. Here's some practice questions for you. Paco is tall for his age. To say that, Paco es alto para su edad. Another one, it is hot for March. Okay, so considering March is usually pretty cold, if we have an 80-degree day, this is something you might say. To say that in Spanish, hace calor para marzo. Notice marzo, I didn't capitalize. Months of the year are not capitalized in Spanish. Okay, one more usage for para, and that is opinion. Anytime you're stating what you think, how you feel, you always use para. Okay, so in my opinion or for me. Some practice sentences for you. In my opinion or for me, Spanish is easy. So para mí, el español es fácil. Another one. In your opinion or for you, Spanish is difficult. Para ti, el español es difícil. Okay. Those are the 5 rules for para. On the back, you'll see some expressions. And with para, actually there's only one. The main expression you need to know for para is that, don't forget, para means in order to. Okay, we just saw that on a test we took. Just a quick translation for you. We study in order to get good grades. Estudiamos para sacar buenas notas. Okay, now let's move on to por. Por also means for, but you can think of it much as a balance. Okay, so if you're saying, for example, I paid $10 for this shirt, well then you're saying that your $10 and the shirt are equal. Okay, so they kind of equal out with por. Another common usage of por is, say I was sick, okay, and I had a sub. Maybe it was Mrs. Churchill, and I would say, oh, Mrs. Churchill taught for me today. She took my place. Okay, so again, Mrs. Churchill and I, we were equal. Okay, she substituted for me. That's the idea behind por. All right, let's take a closer look at our rules. Rule number 1, duration. Anytime you talk about the duration of how long you did something, okay, so I was in Florida for a week, I was sick for 2 days, that's always por. Here's some practice sentences for you. We play for 2 hours. Jugamos por 2 horas. Another one. They go on vacation for a week. Van de vacaciones por una semana. Okay, usage number 2. When else do we use por? Substitution or exchange. Okay, so here's your first. I paid $10 for this doll. So the $10 and the dollar equal. That would be translated as pagué $10 por esta muñeca. Number 2, Enrique sings for Shakira. So say Shakira is sick. She has a sore throat. Enrique is going to step in and sing for her. Enrique canta por Shakira. Okay? Let's compare and contrast this one with para for a minute. If I changed this sentence and said, Enrique canta para Shakira, then I would be saying, Enrique sings for Shakira, as in he's up on the stage singing to her. Okay? So you've got to make sure you get the right rule here with por and para, because it can totally change the meaning of your sentence. Okay, let's go on to rule number 3. Always use por when you're talking about the motivation or you're trying to say because of. Okay? So let's look at some practice problems. Beethoven is famous for his music or because of his music. To say that, you would say, Beethoven es famoso por su música. Another sentence, there's no school today because of the snow. So you would say, no hay escuela hoy por la nieve. Okay, number 4. You're also always going to use por when you're talking about the movement. Okay? So as you can see, this one's kind of a larger rule. We're actually going to have 2 slides for it. So first up, by movement, I'm talking about means of transportation. So we always travel by car. Okay? So if you're going by car, by plane, by bus, by train, etc., it's always por. To say this, we say siempre viajamos por carro. Okay, number 2, movement as in, oh, I'm walking through the classroom. I go through the lunch line. Okay, that would be por. To say this, you would say camino por el parque. The third one, movement, but talking about temporary stops. Okay, so this is a good one for traveling. Look at my sentence here. We go through Yorktown on the trip to Fort Wayne. So it's not our final destination, so we can't use para, okay? Destination goes with para. But if it's just a temporary stop, somewhere we're going to swing in real quick, okay? Or like with a flight, if you had a delay, a layover, this would be where you'd use por, okay? So to say this, you would say pasamos por, kind of like saying we passed through, Yorktown en el viaje a Fort Wayne. Okay, let's look at the other things with movement. Okay, so movement of information or messages. So we talk on the phone, or if you said like we talk through email, we talk through text messages, that's all por. Okay, any type of movement of info or messages. Our example here, hablamos por teléfono. Okay, you guys almost all knew that from Spanish 1. Now you know why. And lastly, another movement here, this is through mail. Okay, so I sent him a gift by mail. Le envié un regalo por correo. Okay, usage number 5. Emotion. Okay, so I'm really happy for you. I'm very thankful for this opportunity. That's all emotion, always por. Here's our example sentence. I have a lot of respect for you. Tengo mucho respeto por ti. I am so sorry. That should say por ti. Please forgive me. Okay, por ti. All right, and then expressions. If you go to the back, there's a whole slew of them. I'm going to put them in your flashcards for you. Okay, I'll let you gaze through those 15. These expressions always require por. Okay, we've got some practice problems here. All right. We'll do number 1 together. I need you to write por or para and then also give me the rule out to the side. So number 1, I used to run for 30 minutes every day. Would that be por or para? Okay, it's a duration. So it is por. All right, pause me, work through numbers 2 to 6. Okay, let's review. Go to number 2. She always goes to Starbucks in the morning. Okay? In the morning, por la mañana, that's an expression. Okay? Has to be por. Number 3, I bought a doll for my sister. Okay? That's the destination of where that doll's going. Okay? It's para. 4, for a little girl, she is very intelligent. I'm comparing her to the norm. Okay, so that's para, talking about the standard. 5, she paid a lot for those blocks. That's exchange. If you paid a certain amount for something, that's always por. And lastly, number 6, we're going to leave for the movie theater in 5 minutes. That's our destination. That's where we're going. Para. Okay, if you have any additional questions or comments, please write them on the last section of your notebook.